Hello, classmates. This is Melody Cutler, and I believe I saw somewhere that we could upload a YouTube video as far as discussing the case for this week. So, since I know how to do it this way, this is what I have chosen to do. So, I have chosen the case. Um, of the Board of Education of Hendrick Hudson Central School District versus Rowley. And just some background information. Nancy and Clifford Rowley are parents who are deaf. They both lost their hearing due to illness as children. And they are parents of two children, one hearing and one who was also deaf, um, a little girl named Amy. Amy was not born deaf, but Amy, just like her parents, lost her hearing due to illness. So before Amy started kindergarten, her mother decided to meet with the principal to explore what services would be available to her, since it wasn't the best decision academically to send her off to school, to the school for, it was a school for the deaf, and I didn't write down the name of it, but I can't think of it right now. The meeting went particularly well, but the principal did share with Amy's mother, Nancy, that he didn't think that the district would provide a sign language interpreter for her. So it was decided that she would she would be able to access an FM wireless hearing aid, and an interpreter would be given to her, but that was only on a trial basis. After which an IEP would be developed. Um, at this point, Amy's parents filed a complaint, um, feeling that her civil rights were violated because there was not a permanent interpreter that would be provided for her. So the findings of the case, school officials denied the request for an interpreter. And at the IEP meeting, Amy's parents didn't sign the IEP because even though she could utilize speech 3 times a week and utilize a teacher who was uh, also would be her tutor, who was certified to teach deaf students, there was still no interpreter. So in December of 1978, a due process hearing was held, and I can't read my handwriting, but um, Amy was, her parents filed a lawsuit, and a federal judge did not agree and found that Amy was not learning to, he did not agree to the fact that she did not have an interpreter, and so they found that she was not learning to her full potential because of this issue. It went all the way to the Supreme Court, where it was decided that she had been given a free and appropriate public education, even though the word appropriate was in question. And in our reading for this week, in the regulations governing special education programs for children with disabilities in Virginia, 8 VAC 20-81-100, the free appropriate public education section, it says that uh, under age of ability, the services and placement needed by each child with a disability to receive a free and appropriate public education shall be based on the child's unique needs and not on the child's disability. And so her need was that she needed an interpreter. Um, Implications for educating students with disabilities. It implies to me that the education of students at this point, the education of students with disabilities, is governed by rules, regulations, and money. Depending on the financial status of the district will determine what and how far they will go as far as providing what children need. It also implies that a child with a disability has to fight harder to get what they need versus a child who does not have a disability. Um, my personal position on the issues and findings, I chose this case because it's very dear to my heart, because I in middle school became friends with some deaf students, and I learned sign language, and in that, um, there's a lot that a deaf or hard of hearing student can miss, just for the simple fact that they can't hear. The verbal cues that are given daily on a daily basis, by teachers and students, that maybe would be given behind your back. If you are deaf, you can't hear those types of things. You can't hear those cues, and so an interpreter would be needed to help Amy, and since that's who I'm talking about, to help her be able to pick up on social cues, and to help her to be able to just pick up on the little nuances during class time that would help her to be more successful. Um, how would these findings impact my teaching and learning? Um, while I was reading this case, I really felt my soft spot being pricked, because each child is different, and you can't just you can't just say what's appropriate for someone based on what you think. You have to go a little deeper. You have to um, you have to really take into consideration all aspects of what the child needs. And so, in my development of my IEPs, in my meetings with parents, and just any transition uh, plans that I may have to, or behavior intervention plans that I may have to develop, um, this just hits home to me that, um, it needs to be done. Everything needs to be done on a case by case basis, um, touching on the needs of the child, not broad, but their individual needs. So it just will help me to be mindful of, um, what it is that I am ultimately responsible for. So I have talked for 7 minutes, and I apologize, but I thank you all for listening, and good night.